along with solid damage from Turkiye. Harif is still open for
Game
gold
kedua
lane. He would
guys,
even go into
Turki
I was
versus
thinking of
Kamboja.
something like Harif Kaja, but Kalea Beatrix is
Hero
actually a
yang di
combo
ban,
we saw from the
Lancelot,
men's category
Cici, Granger,
yesterday.
Ruby,
It's known to
Xbox,
be a strong combo. Beatrix can be
Boxia,
adjusted
Krog,
quite well in the
Gatot
gold
Kaca,
lane.
Elos,
Kalea does have
Badang.
catch, but is a little less efficient against heroes like the Eve, so that means there's high pressure on Nora to be able to find the right timing for the Tsunami Slam, but if comboed correctly, can instantly burst down a target.
I mean, yeah, when it comes to Betis, right, the damage-wise, it's really unbearable when it comes to the mid-game itself. And this is something that is very crucial on the side of Turkey. Compared to what we saw from the first draft, Turkey has a really solid grounds when it comes to the mobility-wise as well as damage. And this is what they prioritize as well. But now coming into Cambodia, they picked up Bruno for the last pick. And I think this is actually one of the hero pools that they actually won against, if I'm not mistaken. They won against Mongolia. Yeah, they won against Mongolia for their last fight indeed with a spanning reverse, and this is something that is actually quite well known with the team.
Yeah, I do think going for a marksman last is actually a good idea from Team Cambodia, because they still had a fair degree of flexibility. Hilda could have been EXP lane, could have been Roam, so they could have gone for another fighter to go for the double fighter side lane since they already have the Yi Sun-shin set up. But they know that there is a good amount of catch coming in from the side of Team Turkiye, and relying most of their late game damage on one person can be very risky, since an Oki Shadow Kill can just remove it from the board entirely. That's why they pick up the Bruno to have another scaling hero. The problem is, this Bruno is going to be fairly vulnerable to catch as well, so the positioning needs to be clean, and that's why they are going for the Purify.
I think pretty much looking on the side of Turkey, right, they got like at least a single individual lockdown coming on from Jushin as well as Kalea. So bringing up on Bruno's side, Purify is quite verified to actually be put out as the ability, but this is just the ultimate crucial drafting wise, the moment that we are waiting for right now for the team of Turkey versus Cambodia. Can they make it to at least best of one right here, denying the entrance of Turkey one step closer to the grand final?
Nora in trouble, and Uwe gonna pick up the first blood there. Very different result. Cambodia this time on the aggressive.
And even with throwing out the shurikens right here, just a little bit of fairness with, but taken out again with the Lantern Flash, shuts down away immediately by Uno Hana.
A nice rotation coming in here from Uno Hana, being able to clear up wave and instantly come in. If not for the Esmeralda, Wei would have actually gotten away there, and that would have been a 100% win for Cambodia, but it ends up being a 1-for-1 trade for the Roamer. Not a very big impact for now. If we look at the emblem setup on both sides, nothing too out of the ordinary too, so both teams going to be keeping it quite standard.
Again, we are seeing Wei just doing a lot of invasive motion right now, going in to extend the south, to a little bit of disturb the movement of Pujo. Comes through, a little bit of slash, but going in with Shuriken, but Nora comes through, shuts down by Mieko instead, and giving another blood in the hands of Turkiye. And Tegami, too late, too call, even the Mountain Sharker will not do anything.
Nice movements right there. Uwe needs to be very careful. Hilda is meant to be very aggressive, but since we are not playing on dangerous grass, you have to be moving a little bit more carefully around the enemy jungle. Having vision and knowledge of where the enemy team members are going to be prevents you from being ganked too hard with multiple members, because you cannot afford to fall too far behind on this hero.
The fact that we are seeing that pressure is still the one key that Cambodia keeps on putting right now, it shows how much they still want to push on towards Turkey, and we want things to slow down just a little bit. Make sure that they be a little bit careful with the situations. Zendaya opening all the ways, all the grasses to make sure that all the location will be exposed, and giving an opportunity for Kujo to get this free turtle for themselves. But again, they picked up Ilan immediately. Now shutting down most of the equation for the side of Cambodia. Comes through with the quad shadow. Yue will be shut down by Zendaya, going in for the Mount Stalker, but unfortunately that RWM will be able to take down Unana for the trade.
That was a little bit aggressive coming in from Team Turkiye here, and it ends up working out in favor of Team Cambodia, where they were able to take advantage of the defensive positioning to punish the overextension thanks to the RWM. And even though Uno Hana did actually come in from a good angle, the snowball on the Esme is not quite as much as before this time around, so the damage from the Yi Sun-shin was able to make the difference. Team Turkey is still holding on to the slight advantage, but Cambodia is looking a lot more comfortable this time around.
Trying to find a way with the wave breaker. Lantern Flare comes in right here. Wei will be able to scur without any casualty, but comes through right here. Tegami just saying that back off. And right now, Cambodia, they try to make sure that at least the gap is not too far off.
I think Team Turkey are now the side that has to make a little bit of adaptation, because their draft is no longer as efficient and going for straight up brute force, dive into your face style strategies. They gotta play it a little bit more carefully. They can go for really high burst with the Kalea Beatrix combo, but if that doesn't land or if it doesn't kill, then they need to be able to instantly adjust on the fly and change up their positioning, because otherwise Cambodia actually has slightly more burst at this point.
And the fact that, again, we talked about how most of the heroes coming in from Turkey is pretty much single lot individual, and this is where the fine line that they don't have much of the crowd control compared to what we've seen on the first draft itself. So they gotta actually have a really good composure with their own positioning or even timing their own strategy. But here Shadowkill comes in, goes in for the shoot of that shuriken, and Kabaube will be sealed in by Kujo.
And that's one of the concerns of going for a marksman in the gold lane. I do respect the idea, but Cambodia has to make sure that they're able to protect it somewhat, since you have so many single target catchers that can actually punish that lane. Everyone else is rotating around, but if you leave that half of the map unattended, then it can cost you quite dearly. We already know that Kujo is a very strong player on this Hayabusa, and basically none of the members of Turkey can be allowed to get a snowball.
The fact that right now we are seeing a little bit of switch off the lane right here as they feel like they won't allow it, but comes through with a falling star move right here, shuts down away immediately. RWM a little bit too slow right here, but it will be enough for Zendaya. Be picked up by Tegami. Mieko barely surviving, but the Black Shoes will be able to shut down by Tegami. Cambodia getting 2 for his own, but this is what caused knowing come through, but doesn't matter because Moshi will be the one to follow up with Nora shutting down.
And there we go. That's the resource utilization that we've been waiting for here from Team Cambodia. It was actually a really good, solid catch to start things off onto the Hilda, but Team Turkey had to use a lot of their resources just to pick off Uwe, and that left them vulnerable to the rest of the damage coming in. The RLM locked them down. Tegami actually starting to rack up some good kills here. This Yi Sun-shin is an issue. Since Turkiye went for a Zeus in mid, they do not have as much burst this time around.
Not have much burst, and even here Tegami will be able to go away safely. And in the fact that Team Turkey, they feel a little bit of desperate, they want to actually go for the fight, but again Cambodia finally find a little bit of safe space between them.
Okay, this is now an important timing. Take a moment, reset yourselves. Cambodia going to have a small 1.5k gold lead. They can definitely make use of this if they continue playing the same style going forward. By now, they should be aware of the habit of Team Turkiye to dive into them. And if they can bait that kind of movement, they can consistently come out on top by fighting them inside the box of death. If they have to sacrifice Uwe in order to achieve that, then that is definitely worth it, since this Hilda is already at a point where it doesn't have all that much value. Cambodia ideally wants to end the game early on, since the later it goes, the more difficult it's going to be.
Oh, definitely late game wise, it kind of actually have that security for the side of Team Turkey, and they do not want to come to that situation. And somehow now looking on the pressure that's coming in from the wave itself, great discipline from Cambodia to push in through without any casualty. But here on out, Wavebreaker Tsunami Sam to steal away Yue, but is it gonna be enough? Zendaya try to pick it up just a little bit more, but still Team Cambodia managed to scurry with Mountain Shocker just to shoot Team Turkey.
Good discipline, good spacing. Team Cambodia is willing to play aggressive with Uwe, even if they know that this Hilda might be sacrificed for it, and they're in position to back her up if necessary. Once they realize that angle was not as ideal, they back it off.
Unohana trying to survive it out. Turret will be taken out. RDM picks it up right here. Mieko comes through with Moshi as well from the back line, but doesn't manage to pull through as they take down Mieko first of all. Now Kujo comes along for the shadow kill. Does manage to take Tegami first of all. Now Yue just a little bit more. Unfortunately managed to survive it out, and right here, Kujo will be the sacrifice to Moshi's in the hand.
Moshi now looking a lot more comfortable on this Lapu Lapu 4-0, and Unohana tried to do the same things that we saw in the last game from Mieko, but without as much of an item lead on this Esmeralda, you can see how much squishier she is in comparison, especially with Baobei on this extra marksman as well. The consistent DPS output of Cambodia is very strong. Team Turkiye cannot afford to play the same way they did in game number 1 because the circumstances have changed. They need to be aware of this.
not much of the setup can be done, even with the Tsunami Slam. Trying to pick off one player, it doesn't manage to actually have enough follow-up for them to burst out Team Cambodia. This is necessary because the fact that how Team Cambodia was able to steal away Mieko, they had not enough damage to actually take down. And this is where the fine line, how Team Turkiye needs to step back just a little bit.
The same advice that I gave Team Cambodia in game number 1 has to be followed by Turkiye. They're still trying to go for bursts, but the damage is no longer sufficient. You've got to play defensively here.
Yeah.
Once again, the goal is map control. Do not give up the little bit of map advantage you still have, because you need time to scale. And to do that, you need minions and space to farm.
Little bit of control is needed right here. Goes back for the wave breaker. Does manage to actually pull to take down wave. First of all, this is the opening door for the front line. At least Turkiye managed to actually shut down just a little bit of the movement of Cambodia. But then again, it's still not going to be enough. But goes in for the shadow, go for the Elon. And this is where Turkiye gets two for themselves.
Right, really good opportunity there. I do think that was a slight mistake from Uwe walking that far forward. Yes, as the Hilda, at this point in the game, you are basically a sacrificial body to open up the map. But you ideally want to sacrifice your body when your team is nearby enough to take advantage of it. And Team Cambodia was a bit too far. That's why it got bursted down. And then in the midst of that chaos, Kujo was able to find an extra kill as well. Team Cambodia needs to continue cleaning this up, but they do still have the lead.
Ooh, Nora, a little bit of extension, trying to find a way. Ended up being taken out by Moshi. So much of the punishment comes in from Cambodia itself. And now Unohana trying to do so much damage, trying to survive it out at the mid. Even been taken out by Zendaya. It does not have that follow-up needed for Turkiye.
Both teams now gotta play this slow, play this more disciplined. Cambodia still does have the advantage. They didn't really need to give up the little bit of farm that they did earlier, but it's not too much skin off their back. Team Turkiye is still definitely at a deficit, but they're still gonna make the attempt.
Let's see how they can actually zone this out. Turkiye managed to actually scurry it, takes down a little bit of Moshi here, but doesn't manage to actually get the follow-up needed. Zendaya also in trouble. Nora comes in to back things up, looking for a way, but that's gonna be a lot taken by the team of Cambodia. By the same time, shadow kill, not enough to shut down, and Mlbb turns on Kujo instead, and now leaving only 4 players to defend for themselves before the Lord march in.
Right, this is now where Cambodia hits their power spike, and they're trying to take advantage of it.
Tsunami Slam doesn't get Ellie's Mlbb, and ended up being favored to backfire to the side of Nora. Oh no, and I've been shut up by Mlbb as well for the double kill, and now pushing on to Zendaya, managed to actually trade off for Moshi, but is it going to be enough though, as much damage has already been done by Cambodia?
The cores on the side of Team Cambodia are really starting to build up their farm now, and you can see the issues that Team Turkiye is dealing with. They're trying to run into them, they're trying to use their bulk and their catch, but the purifies, as well as the consistent DPS output, is proving to be a little bit too much. Malefic Gun has already been completed on this Bruno, and that's why we are seeing this Esmeralda melt so quickly, especially since Unohana right now only has an enchanted talisman. She's actually one of the poorest players in the game. There's no physical defense to keep her alive against this Bruno.
Again, many times Zendaya just coming in from the front line, trying to pick up one player from Cambodia with the lens of light, but it's still not going to be enough to actually pull through. And this is where the fine line, Team Turkiye, they need to step it up. Not much of the single lockdown has been successful. Even Kujo tried to go to the back line to take down Mlbb, was unsuccessful. And coming along right now, we do see a little bit more invasive from the side of Team Cambodia.
Chastise Pauldron as the second item here from Unohana. Bit of a desperation play, but one that is kind of understandable. At this point, the regular defense items aren't going to avail you much.
Goes in for the wave breaker. Mieko takes down Elon first of all. Goes out for the shadow kill, but Zendaya almost been caught up. But Tegami right here will be able to shut down Nora immediately, but will be backstabbed right here. Tegami barely surviving it out, but Unohana had to flicker away instead. 3 players immediately been taken out by Cambodia, with only had to trade off 2.
A good catch by Team Turkiye, a good attempt to start the fight, but they left their backline exposed, and Tegami took full advantage of that. A Fed Yisun Shin is a very scary hero, and you can see how quickly the cores of Team Turkiye melted, including the Zeus Sin, which is typically one of the tankier mages in the game right now. 12 minutes. 5k gold lead for Team Cambodia. It is not a guaranteed win yet, but they are one step away from claiming that. The next Lord is coming up in 30 seconds. As long as no big mistake happens in between that, it should be guaranteed for Team Cambodia, and then they can use that to put themselves in a position where victory is almost guaranteed.
Again, Nora trying to actually spot out every positioning that is done by Cambodia, making sure that at least they will actually have control of the map. But somehow here, Rebecca comes through. It's just trying to slow down a little bit of movement of Cambodia, but they do not actually go for the scrimmage just yet. Mountain Shocker goes out, but then again, it doesn't hit anyone. It's just pretty much a little bit of scrimmage, just a tease and poke and kill right here from the side of Team Turkey versus Cambodia.
This should be a very natural lore take for Team Cambodia. It is going to be Team Turkey that needs to find near perfect positioning moving forward. Wind of Nature is complete on Mieko, so that should help prevent her a little bit longer, but do they have the damage?
They do pick up UA first of all, but it's not going to be enough. RDMM will be picking up. Zendaya had to pull away. Oh no, will be shot immediately with Nora as well. But somehow right here from the backline, coming off Tegami will be the one to shut down with Moshi. Mieko leaving all desperate with Kujo just left behind right here, surviving no man's land. But unfortunately, we're caught up by Elan and giving a wipeout straight away to the team of Cambodia.
And that is basically GG right there, ladies and gentlemen. The entire side of Team Turkey has been wiped out. Cambodia, all 5 members still alive, and a notable goal lead that is more than sufficient to just melt through every single structure right through into the base. We are going into a game number 3.
We ask, and we shall be given. You want no more clean sweep? We have best of 1 right here between the lower bracket finals. Cambodia getting their first win right here. Just making sure that Turkey doesn't get that easy win to next step of the grand final.
Jadi 2 lah bang.